when it came time for Sean, I read the pilot. I knew this is somebody who was very clear on the page. He's somebody who doesn't want to be angry. Apparently, that wasn't in the script. The casting directors had written somebody who was stereotypically angry. So I come up in there with this sort of gentle approach, and they're like, this ain't right, but let's send him up to the producers. And they never told me it was wrong. I just ended up booking the part. So I got to meet Bill Posley, who's one of the primary writers on the show. He also served in the military, a huge resource for me and for the rest of the writers when cultivating Sean's character. So as like the shell around the show kind of cracked for me as I wormed my way in, I learned from the jump before I ever became a part of the project, they were already doing it right. I'm saying words that were well researched on behalf of this character. I have resources to ask to verify if I'm portraying it in a way that is honorable to servicemen and women.
Is that much of it? That's not much of a change for you, right?
My name is Carey Kight. I used to load bombs in the Air Force, and now I'm a writer, a filmmaker, and an entrepreneur. Through using the post-9/11 GI Bill to go to college, working hourly jobs to pay the bills, and freelancing my way into a career, I've studied what it takes to successfully transition from service to civilian, and that study has become a conversation. On this podcast, I speak to other veterans, successful artists and entrepreneurs about their transition, what they did well, where they failed, what they learned, and most importantly, how they applied their skills.
You've seen him as Dominic on Abbott Elementary and Dr. Cyrus Henderson on The Pit. And in this episode, I speak with Luke Tennie about playing Sean on Shrinking, Apple TV's award-winning show, in one of the most thoughtful, layered portrayals of a veteran on television and in film. We get into humor, PTSD, community, group therapy, and how Luke and the writers built Sean as a whole person, not as a stereotype.
Welcome. This is Veteran Made.
Our merch store is live at store.veteranmadeproductions.com. Grab hats, t-shirts, and hoodies in both performance and tri-blend cotton fabrics. Use code VM-5OFF for 5% off your purchase. Veteran Made is also sponsored by GoPills, a military-grade nootropic that contributes to brain health over time. Use code VM15 at checkout for 15% off. I get my collagen protein from Bubs Naturals, where you can use code VETERANMADE, all one word, at checkout for 20% off your order. We're also proud to partner with True Made Foods, which makes condiments free from added sugar and sweetened with real foods. Use code VET at checkout for 15% off.
We love socks in this house. I get my wife new socks every Christmas. More importantly, we love American-grown and made socks. Use code VETERANMADE15 at rucksocks.com for 15% off.
And lastly, I end my day with Rack Out from Bravo Actual to maintain quality sleep, resulting in a well-rested body and mind. Use code VETERANMADE with a space between the words at checkout for 15% off your order. Enjoy the episode.
All right, good afternoon from the great state of Ohio for me. Good morning from the great state of California, my original home state. Luke Tennie, welcome to Veteran Made.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
I am I'm stoked to have you. Big fan. My wife watches The Pit. My wife and my oldest daughter watch Abbott Elementary. I get to watch a little bit of that, but that's their girl dinner show. So like I don't actually get to watch all the episodes. And in fact, like one of the last times I came home and my daughter was like, "Hey, you got to go. We're watching Abbott Elementary. You got to get out of here." And I'm like, "All right, back upstairs I go."
You have a specific girl dinner for your wife and daughter.
Yeah, well, my wife makes it. I don't make it.
But you leaving means you're heeding that. You're honoring that.
Of course.
I got to write that down. I'm a girl dad. I got 2 girls.
It's like their thing. It's like my wife makes a baked potato and salad, and it's like what she used to eat like in college back in the day. And then now she made it like one time for my oldest daughter, and now it's like she loves it. It's like it's girl dinner, so I'm out.
Girl dinner. Yeah, I'm gonna talk to my lady about that. Maybe I could cook for them and then bounce. That's my love language.
Yes,
I cook y'all your meal, y'all watch the show, and I'll bounce. That's a great idea. My oldest is 2.5 right now, so I got some time still.
Yeah, we've got a 6-year-old and a 9-month-old.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's a big split. How you doing?
We're doing well. I mean, they both sleep really well, which is good. They both like slept really well from the beginning, so that's the most important thing because I just get my rest and like we're all good. We love it.
Great, yeah. I got a 3-month-old. Well, she's gonna be 4 months like tomorrow, but she's been sleeping good since about 2.5 months. I got big girls though. I think because they're bigger, they sleep better.
Yeah.
They eat more and then they sleep longer.
That's it. That's all you got to do is just feed them and then they'll go to sleep, which is great.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Well, congratulations. That's amazing. That's a
Thank you.
that's a
Same to
fun
you.
story. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, 2 years. That's fun. Yeah, 5 year difference between ours is actually cool because the kindergartner can actually do stuff to help. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Our
So
2-year-old doesn't quite understand. She's
right.
still trying to play. I'm like, she can't do that yet. She doesn't have faculties. So
Yep.
give her a bit, and she's
Yep.
starting to get it, but it's sometimes a letdown,
Yeah,
for her.
I think you'll probably hit an age with them where it'll be like they'll be inseparable and it'll be fun.
I'm
My
sure.
oldest is kind of always going to be just like quite a bit older, but it's fun. I appreciate you joining, man. We're here to talk about shrinking. I'm a huge fan of the show. This podcast is primarily for military and veteran audience, and been a big fan of the show for the last few years, and wanted to get you on here to talk about the way that you and the writers have treated Sean as a character. I think obviously the show does a great job of treating all the characters on the show like people. But I actually haven't seen a veteran get treated this well rounded, this whole like this completely in a really long time. Especially in a show that doesn't have anything to do with combat or action or anything like that. This is just like a straight comedy. So yeah, man, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Like it's great, and I love it, and just wanted to dive into some of that with you.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for obvious reasons. And I want to thank all your listeners too, because we probably wouldn't be able to have this conversation if it weren't for the men and women laying down their lives. So, respect. I appreciate you, and it's really an honor to be here. So,
Thanks,
for having
man.
me.
Yeah, of course, I appreciate it. I mean, I think the thing that like the show does so well is humor. Obviously, it's a comedy, but I think one of the things that most people don't realize about the military community is that so much of our life is based around humor. It's one of the ways that we cope, right, in both good ways and bad ways. And it's just the language that we speak. And so to kind of translate that into civilian life onto this show and this cast of characters that are obviously dealing with mental health kind of across the board, it's just something that's really well done. And I'm curious what was your first grasp of the character when you saw that he was a veteran, obviously written pretty early into the show. It's pretty core to his identity. How did you approach your research, and how did you find your way into his choices?
Initially, with great respect, I I grew up in South Florida, and I do remember. I just remember there was a large focus for us on how like dangerous it is in the military, and how there is some stuff that was particularly frustrating. Like a lot of the kids at more affluent schools would get approached by college advisors and guidance counselors, whereas for the people in poorer schools, you would be approached primarily by like the military. So I had a kind of strained relationship with um what it was like for especially young black men going into the service. It was like a sort of frustrating, overarching confusion. But as I got older, I had some friends who enlisted, and I had some people in my life who I remember going off and coming back, and them coming back with stories about some people who didn't come back, and somebody who I call my little brother. He's in the Navy. His name's Lorenzo. Shout out to him. He won't see this for 6 months till he gets off of his sub. But yeah, I just eventually it grew into this real respect and sort of like a fear for people like strangers, because it's the reason our country operates. So I think biologically and geographically I sort of had a predisposition to come to terms with what the United States military would mean to me, and kind of like where it stands on the list of like how on the list of things that I care about or things that I don't, like where does it rank? And then as I grew older, it ranked higher and higher. And particularly when I started acting, I would always be approached to play soldiers. And I was
Hmm.
like, what is that? People who have no idea what I do, I'll do a yes sir or yes ma'am, always ask me if I served. I'll meet other military service men and women, and they ask me, did you serve? Or sometimes they'll ask me like a question I don't understand. They'll be like, so what, such and such, were you? Because they're assuming I was there. I'm like, what is that? Like, why do people think I'm a soldier? In my first role I ever played professionally, I played a soldier. So I think it came from just being somebody who's from the South, saying my yes sirs and my yes ma'ams, and maybe some sort of politeness or decorum I have. But all of that was kind of something I had before I even started acting. Like I kind of learned where I sit. So when it came time for Sean, I read the pilot. I knew this is somebody who was very clear on the page. He's somebody who doesn't want to be angry. He made his decision to go into the military. And he doesn't want to be angry anymore because he's brought back these demons. Apparently, that wasn't in the script. The casting directors had written to them, which was a very obvious angry person, somebody who was stereotypically angry. I do not think he was racially specifically cast. So I come up in there with this sort of gentle approach, and they're like, this ain't right, but let's send him up to the producers. And they never told me it was wrong.
Huh.
I just ended up booking the part. So from my perspective, I thought we all agreed this was how this guy was written. So from that, I got to meet Bill Posley, who's one of the primary writers on the show. African-American dude. He also served in the military, and he writes for the show. A huge resource for me and for the rest of the writers when cultivating Sean's character. So as like the shell around the show kind of cracked for me as I wormed my way in, I learned from the jump before I ever became a part of the project, they were already doing it right. They were asking Bill, they were making sure the research was done. So by the time I get there, not only do I know I'm saying words that were well researched on behalf of this character, I have resources to ask to verify if I'm portraying it in a way that is honorable to servicemen and women.
That's incredible. Sidebar, I'd love whatever the most appropriate way to get in touch with Bill is, because that would be, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, you want to talk to Bill. Bill's got a one-man show he's doing called The Day I Accidentally Went to War.
Oh man, I that didn't make it in my research. I feel a little bit ashamed of that, but I'm glad. I'm glad we landed on it. Yeah, man. I mean, so I want to go back. So it's an interest as an actor for you to think like, oh, I'm gonna meet this character where I see him on the page, and then not necessarily having any of that background from the producers and the writers. It's interesting because my wife and I work together. We're business partners. We're filmmakers. We primarily work branded content, commercial content, and things like that. And we do a lot in the military and the veteran space. And we were together while I was in the military, but we weren't married. It was kind of on again, off again thing. And then now that we've been doing all this work together, she will see me in this environment, whether it's a podcast like this or whether we're on set or working with people, and she'll be like, oh man, it's like you guys all know each other and you all speak the same language. And she's like, and you're actually so much like deeper as people than I assumed when I was in my late teens and early 20s. And I think that translates to the rest of America as well, right? I think like most of America sees the military or sees veterans as one thing and not quite understanding that there's a ton of depth, because we're people, and we're not just people who were put in positions where you have to obey or disobey orders. You're actually given a lot of flexibility and a lot of leeway after your training to go make the right decisions and the best decisions for the people that you're serving with. And it's kind of like, regardless of what you did in the military, it's actually quite a bit more flexible inside of that environment, I think, than a lot of people outside of the environment understand. So to hear that you would sort of bridge that gap on your own, just making choices on your sides, and then you're talking to the writers and the producers, and then you have that resource, like that explains to me why the depth exists in the character on the show.
It was there before I came a part of the project. And then I kind of had my own sort of growth and evolution in terms of my respect for the military. Some sort of pre-research from the fact that I was always playing a soldier.
Yeah.
In plays and in my first movie, just, I get it. Like, I get it. Now that I'm a little older, I get it. So by the time it all came together, it ended up being a really one of the more responsible portrayers of a vet, especially struggling with PTSD in any sort of recent media I can imagine, for sure.
Yeah, it's cool because like you guys, he didn't stay a victim of the circumstances, and then he also didn't make all the right decisions right away.
Struggled for a bit. That relapse in season 2, that's how I refer to it, because I think that he had a self-harm issue. Like that's not what it was referred to. Say that again for me.
Like a dependency on the self-harm.
Yeah. So he created a way for himself to feel better through physical pain. And I think that because of his stature, I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'3", and when he would go out to those bar fights before we meet him in season 1, he was swinging, but I think his actual hope was to get hurt, not to hurt.
Yeah.
He's just, a bigger guy, and he's doing a lot more damage than he had anticipated. However, he cracked it in season 2 when he learned, oh, if I don't fight back, then I get to feel that physical pain that will hurt just as deeply as this emotional pain. And then when we see that, we can see, oh, now he can identify this issue and actually begin to move on in a more successful way, rather than just, oh, I'm going to start cooking and not really address these problems. It's, I can do these things that I want to do, but I'll only be able to maintain that if I can address these issues.
Yeah, that's right. That whole, I mean, that's what I latched onto, that turn of the complete portrayal of Sean is the whole person. Because what ends up happening, like when I started this podcast a few years ago, I tended to focus primarily on professional transition, for creatives and entrepreneurs and people who want to scale businesses and like do different things. And I realized that because I didn't want to focus on the mental health side of things because I didn't feel like I was equipped. I wanted to stay in my lane. I wanted to just kind of focus on this thing that I understand a little bit better. And then as I've grown over the last few years, I realized it's a fully integrated piece, because a lot of the times the mental health focus ignores the professional focus or the relational focus. And it's that, like, the fact that he finds not just a job, but something that he needs to find investors for, and he has to start to interact with this sort of entrepreneurial way of seeing the world. That's actually something I think military service members and veterans are much better equipped than they think they are, than we think we are, and that the rest of the population thinks we are. So to see you guys kind of put all of that together through story is like, I mean, that was at that turn, I was like, dang, dude, like this is real. So when you and Bill are talking, like, how much are you getting from him? What are those conversations like? Obviously he's got a bunch of other cast members that he's got to talk to about their characters, but as you're talking to him, what are you coming to him with? What is he bringing to you as you're trying to evolve through these 3 seasons?
The main thing for me was point of view. I have a weird sort of understanding about my purpose as an actor right now in my career. And when I was in college, man, you say you're a filmmaker, which I didn't know, so I'm glad to know that now. But you'll get what I mean when I say this. I thought I was a character actor. Like I was, I kind of saw myself more as like a Jeffrey Wright, kind of like I'm not really going to be the same in each part. Somebody who was going to do like, the limp and the accent, and I'm from Louisiana, and this next thing I'm from California. And then I start booking, and like that's not it. They want to see me. And I think that's true for a lot of actors. They don't care about you transforming. They can hire somebody else for that. If they want to see somebody disappear, they'll watch Day Lewis disappear. Not you. They want to see you because we haven't seen you. And that's the case for me. So point of view is my only thing that I'm asking Bill for, or really kind of connecting with any of the writers for. It's the difference between when we first see Sean and he's struggling after he's left his father's house, and you see him, he's like wearing this green shirt, his dad kicked him out. It's the reason he calls Jimmy instead of going back to his father's house. Going back to his father's house in retrospect means he'll have to face things he's not ready to face. If he calls Jimmy a stranger, perhaps he can provide new things for him to face, but it's not the same thing he has to face. This is a sort of point of view perspective I get from somebody like Bill, as opposed to me just being like, oh, I'm going to call Jimmy because he's just a new guy. No, it's like, what is the actual structure of his logistical mentality at this point? And that's the kind of perspective I can be awarded from somebody who's actually been there,
Yeah, it's like I still want to experience pain, but I don't want to experience that particular pain. So I'm going to go try to find a new avenue to see if I can get some new pain to experience. Yeah,
I'll find new pain rather than deal with these scars, because I know the way that pain feels, and it feels so particular in such a specific way that if I put myself in an environment where I have a potential to feel it again, I might hurt somebody or myself. Yeah. And I think that's wonderful. And Bill also, when I saw his show, he shared a great deal of detail about what it was like in terms of like the brotherhood of what it's like to serve. And Sean doesn't have anyone in season 1. You know, there's no one there for him that he served with. And I'm like, why is he isolating? Because I know if he wanted to, he could go find them. You know, and doing my research and like watching other movies, you know, like Jarhead, or I realized that there's always an avenue for vets to connect with one another. And if Sean is isolated, he's choosing that. Yeah. So I have to discover, why is he choosing that? Is it shame? Is it fear? And then I honed in on fear. Like, fear of what? Fear of potentially hurting someone, fear of being vulnerable, fear of what it would take for him to improve. And then I made those decisions based on the script and my conversations with the writers. And then in season 2, what do? As soon as he sees a homeboy from that he served with, he panics. Yep. He gets scared and he runs away. I'm like, oh, we're all on the same page. We're taking good care of this character. We know exactly how to make sure we're responsible. So long as we don't think we know everything, so long as we're still open to hearing different perspectives, different stories and points of view on serving, this guy's going to be all right.
For sure. And I don't want to give, I know the finale just ended, so I want to give folks a little bit more time, so we won't go full spoilery territory. But, you know, towards the end of season 3, that's why those interactions in the group setting towards the end, like it like you and the writers didn't avoid the eventual potential issues that come from community and relationship with people, right? Because as you're talking, it's interesting. You're talking about, so yourself as an actor, right? Actually, I don't know if it was an actor I was talking to or if I heard this somewhere else, but I heard somebody else say something pretty recently similar to what you said. But I think veterans, transitioning service members can take it as well. That, let's think for you, it's a casting director, a producer, a director, and for us, it's like a hiring manager or something. They don't want you to fill the role; they want to see you, right? And so many veterans and service members will transition out and be like, "All right, I got my resume buttoned up. I've got all my awards on there. I can speak to why I'm right for this role." When in reality, you're actually reintegrating into a culture, into a living, breathing set of human beings and community members inside of a business or a corporation or like wherever. So they want to know if you can do the job, but like, who are you? What are you going to bring to us here in this community of people, right? And that can get a little woo woo fast. There's a little like
a little bit
and all that, but like,
because it is a little woo woo,
because it is, yeah, exactly. That's where the tension, right? That's where the truth lies in that stuff. So that was, I find that interesting, and I'm really happy that, just as a fan of your work and watching your shows, like I'm really happy that you're going in that direction, because that's like, my brother and I talk about this a lot. He's not in the film business, but he's a huge film buff, and we talk about this all the time. For the last like 20 years, we've been talking about like, oh, I like that actor. I want to see him do something. I don't want to see him play a character. I want to see him do it, or I want to see her do it. Like, what would she do? Who would she be if she took that role? Not like, oh, are they going to be the best quote unquote character for that script or for that movie? No. Like, that's not what we want to see as audience members. So keep going on that, man, because that's what fans want to see.
I appreciate that. My brother and I are built like that too. I got an older brother, and we always talking about like I remember 3 years before Sam Rockwell did 3 Billboards, I was like, keep an eye on that guy who played the bad guy in that Iron Man 2 movie. That boy got sauce. And like, he's him, but he's always a little different. And then it was Michael Stolberg, who I think still hasn't quite had his moment yet. And then there's Danielle Detweiler, who's an incredible actress. Now she's getting her pop on Rooster. And it's like, there's a weird satisfaction I get for keeping an eye on people before their names and then going, yeah, I called that. There's a weird satisfaction I get when I start to see their stars shine a little brighter.
There's another veteran. He's an author. He's written a series of thriller books, and it's an Amazon Prime TV show now. It's called The Terminal List. Chris Pratt.
Love it. Every episode, Dark Wolf, seen it all. My wife and I are big fans.
So good. I just talked to Jack Carr, the author of that, a couple weeks. He's been on a few times, but he talks about that. He was like, I watched Chris Pratt on Parks and Rec. And then he did like, he was briefly in Zero Dark 30, and he was like, that dude's got it. And I want him to be the lead in this show.
At the time, you could start to see what potential he had.
Yeah. And then, so then back to Sean. So like, as you were eyeing the time here. So as you were talking about what he was not trying to avoid, which I love that that's the way you saw it, and that's the way the writer saw it. He's not actually trying to avoid, he's actually trying to find new ways. And then he finds himself, because like the reason he avoided him the first time he saw him was that he knew that he would call him on his shit. Cause that's what we do. Like even
Yep.
dudes I didn't serve with, but I work with now, like we just call each other on our shit. I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. Why are you doing it that way? Because that's how we talk to each other. And Sean knew that. But then he finds himself in this group of people living in a pool house of one house and neighbors of another house. And he's like, oh no, I am now in another group of people who will not let me get away with this.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yep.
Incredible.
Such good writing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And then the build to the group work, I think in season 3 was just so well done. And again, I'll stay away from spoilers for people that haven't watched it yet. But just the way that builds, I think, for Gabby's character, it was really cool to see her go into another arena, right? And for Paul to like go out on a limb and be like, I should have done this and I didn't do this. And now you have the opportunity to do it. Yeah. And you're not doing it through Sean. You're not taking advantage of Sean, right? You and Sean have your own relationship, but like this is a window into a world in which you can get exposure to the thing you really want to do. It's just full on integrated community and all of its imperfections. Which
and real quick, again, this is something I want to praise the head writer, Bill Lawrence, for. The group therapy, that was my idea.
Hell yeah.
And I approached him with that idea because I was paying attention to Sean's trajectory and I was so nervous and so scared. Oh, it's Bill Lawrence. What's he going to think? I actually had 2 ideas. One of them, he was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. But the other one, the group therapy idea, he was like, you're going to see that. Like there was one episode that they were on, that they were writing, that they hadn't finished yet. He was like, you're going to see that episode.
Yeah.
Like he's like, that's great. We were trying to figure out where Sean would go. It seems like you did that. So nice. I was like, let's go. And now it's like a full completion. Like somebody like Sean who has made this discovery, it makes sense he would get evangelical with it. He would want to share it. He would get a little gospel about it and make sure everyone has access to this thing, which is something I admire greatly about that character. And I'm really glad that Bill saw that there was some sort of merit in that.
It's cool. I mean, that's consistent with some of the other people in the show. Cause like Jimmy's character does that. Paul is like, I don't agree with this, but all right, I'm going to let you go out and try this. Gabby tries it, right? We got a couple, I want to be respectful of your time. You got a couple minutes left here. When you thought that he should be a part of group therapy, why did you think that? What was the nugget for you that was, I mean, you just mentioned he wants to kind of share it, but like, was that it?
There were 2 things. The main thing was, I actually, in looking out for Sean and also out for myself, I didn't see Sean like belonging in the show anymore. I think as a responsible writer, you can look at a character's development and go, yeah, this guy's story is wrapping up. And I'm like, unless Sean has a reason to be with these people next season, he shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt about that. Like, I'm cool if my character's done on this show because I love the show and I want it to be good rather than me be on it. And that made me kind of think, well, what would be like a not shoehorned way for him to be involved still? And I couldn't crack it. And I'm not a writer on this show. I am a writer, but I was like, it's not my job to like crack it. It's my job to play this character, but as I was thinking, it was around when we were shooting episode 3 of season 3. And I kept doing this. I had this new system of me working. So I would get to WB early, like 2 hours before my call. My call was 7. I'm in the gym at 5, pumping iron. And then I started to see these people in the gym regularly. And it was like nice to say good morning to them and all that. And then I would talk to my homie Trey, who plays Jorge, Sean's friend. And then we would chat. And it kind of became this thing. And it really kind of set the tone for my days there. And I was like, oh, this is probably how Sean feels. Like I might be doing like some subconscious Sean like work here. And then it dawned on me, wouldn't he want to share this? And I was like, I have to talk to Bill. So it was sort of like this weird acknowledgement that my character's arc might be coming to a close. And this discovery that I've sort of created an environment that my character would benefit from. And he would want to recreate what's benefited him for someone like Jorge, who he's seen growth and change in, which we've seen on the show. Him talking to Jimmy, he's like, well, that worked for Jorge. And now he's like, more vets, more growth, more reintegration into society. How can I help? How can I Jimmy other people like me? And it only made sense that he would approach one of the therapists and say, how can I get you to help other people for $0?
Brilliant. I love it. Sounds like an awesome like work culture that you guys have there too.
You are correct.
Yeah.
It's so dope, man.
It's amazing.
I do not take it for granted. I also understand it might never occur again. But the coolest thing about working in an environment like Shrinking and with these producers and writers and actors is I think as you understand how rare it is, you might become part of the ingredients as to why people feel that way on certain shows. So it's now my job to take the spirit of gratefulness and gratitude and excellence and professionalism that I've experienced on that show and take it into every project that I have here on out. And I just did another project with my boy Fred Heckinger. He's a really good actor. He was one of the twins in Gladiator 2.
Oh, yeah.
He's a really good actor. I just did a project with him, and it felt like that. And I'm like, maybe I can become the common denominator and continuing to find other common denominators. Because Fred is exceptional. So that's two people I know I can verify have that same disposition. It's like, let's just keep finding more of those people, more and more common denominators who want to create good art in a responsible, respectful way without wasting people's time, without this ego stuff, and make bank while doing it. Like, let's figure that out.
That's it. My wife and I, obviously, we live together and we work together. We call it good people shit. That's what we do in our house.
Love it, bro. GPS. I love it.
And that's what we do on our sets. It's good people shit.
Oh, that's great. I love hearing that.
Yeah, man. Listen, I really appreciate you. Big fan. We'll stay in touch. Season 4, maybe we can do this again.
I'd love that, man. I'd love to see what they're doing. Let's get another one of these and talk season 4 for sure.
Awesome, man. I love it. Where can folks find you? Where can we collaborate on social media? Where do you want to drive traffic?
I'm Luke Tennie on everything.
Okay.
Luke.Tennie. You can see me looking like me, being me, smiling, cheesing on every platform. So that's it.
I love it. Keep it up, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Yo, you're great. Thank you for this.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you.